Welcome to our Saturday service. I hope you enjoyed the Wednesday service that we had. It was quite an admonition, and I pray that it works in your heart. We need to be serious with the things of God. People in the world are serious with the things of the world, and we children of God are not serious with the things of God. Help me hope that Wednesday service woke you up and helped you to tune in yourself to the things of God and become more serious. That's the only way we shall make it to the first resurrection. We were saying that numerous prophecies in the last Wednesday service that established the most significant end time transpire within a 7-year time frame. Numerous prophecies establish that the most significant end time transpire within a 7-year time frame. And that 7-year time frame is divided into 3.5-year segment. In other words, it is divided right in the middle. 7 years divided right in the middle, you have 3.5 years. And the proof of that, we are going to read the scriptures. Like we said, it's our authority. So turn to Revelation chapter 11 and verse 2. But the court which is without the temple, leave out, and measure it not. For it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. The holy city will be trodden for 42 months. Now, how do we get the 3.5 years? We are going to look at these 42 months, how we get the 3.5 years. 1 year, every one of us knows that 1 year equals 12 months. 2 years equals 24 months. 3 years equals 36 months. Half a year is 6 months. We can even make it simpler by saying 12 months equals 1 year. 24 months equals 2 years. 36 months equals 3 years. 42 months, 36 months equals 3 years. 42 months is 3.5, because a half a year is 6 months. Now, when you take 36 months and add on the 6 months, you get 42 months. So the 3.5 years are got from the 42 months that Jerusalem will be trodden under. And when you read verse 3, the scripture says, "And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." A score is 20 days. A score. So this verse 3 has told us, is giving us 1,260 days. This is also equivalent to 3.5 years. I have to help my people. How do we get to that? If we take an average, a month to be 30 days, there are 12 months in a year. We want to find out how many days make a year. So, 30 if a month is 30 days and a year has 12 months, then we want to find out how many days are in a year. You multiply 30 days times 12. 12 months. A month is 30 days. To get the number of days in a year, you multiply 30 by 12. There is mathematics even in the Bible. You never run away with mathematics. That's why mathematics is a very important subject. You always get it in the market, in the supermarket, you get it everywhere you go. Somewhere, somehow, you must practice some mathematics of some kind. So, we can say 360 days, we got 360 days by multiplying 30 times 12, which is 360 days. So 360 days make 1 year. 720 days, how do we get 720? 360 times 2, and that would make 2 years. So 720 days equals 2 years. 1,080 days, how do we get 1,080 days? You multiply 360 days by 3. You will get 1,080 days. Now, a half a year, if 1 year is 360 days, a half a year is 180 days. So 1,260 days equals 3.5 years. So you get that by adding the number of days in 3 days, you add to a half a year, it will give you 1,260 days. This is also a 3.5 year period. So these two verses in Revelation 11, verse 2 and verse 3, which we have just read, these refer to the first 3.5 years of the last hour of Gentile time. And the last hour of Gentile time, we have said that it is a period of 7 years. The last hour of Gentile time is 7 years. So during this first half of the last hour, the two witnesses are prophesying. You can turn to Revelation chapter 11 and verse 3. And I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth. In other words, they shall prophesy for 3.5 years. The church will function under great power, under great anointing. There will be signs and wonders during that first 3.5 years. The church will function under the anointing of God. I will give power unto my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy for 1,260 days, which is 3.5 years. The church will function under tremendous power. But later, these two witnesses are slain, and that we can read in Revelation 11 and verse 7. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them. So, these two witnesses are going to be slain. They will lay dead for 3.5 days. In other words, they will be dead for 3.5 years, as we have been interpreted to in verse 9. It says, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3.5 days, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. They will lay dead for 3.5 years. In Bible prophecy, a day represents 1 year. When it comes to Bible prophecy, a day represents 1 year. If you can turn to Genesis 29, let's look at Genesis 29. Genesis 29, verses, let me start with verse 20. And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days, for the love he had to her. Served 7 years, it looked a few days. Then, from verse 20, we go to 27. He is told, fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou shalt serve with me yet 7 other years. He's speaking of a week, but he's saying, is meaning 7 years. So these two witnesses are alive, prophesying for 3.5 years. Then they lay dead for the next 3.5 years. This time period, 3.5 year time frame, is also seen in Revelation chapter 12 and verse 14. Revelation chapter 12 and verse 14. This is very, very interesting knowledge. The scripture says, unto the woman were given 2 wings of great eagle, that she might fly unto the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent. Right here we have yet another 3 and a half year period. A time is 1 year. Times, plural, 2 years. Half a time is a half a year. This makes a total of 3.5 years. So, even the same language is employed in Daniel chapter 12. Let's turn to the book of Daniel chapter 12. It's good to know these things. Daniel chapter 12 and verse 7. And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, then times and a half and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be fulfilled. Right there, we have again that time period, 3.5 years, times and a half a time. The book of Revelation begins with a message to the 7 churches of Asia. When you start to restudy the book of Revelation, you begin to read the book of Revelation. When you begin chapters 2, then chapters 3, you will find out that the book of Revelation starts with a message to each of the 7 churches of Asia. In Revelation, let's turn to the book. In Revelation chapter 2 and verse 1, there is a message given to the church at Ephesus. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 8, to save some time, I will not be reading those verses. A message given to the church in Smyrna. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 12, there is a message given to the church at Pergamos. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 18, a message given to the church at Thyatira. Revelation chapter 3 verse 1, there is a message for the church at Sardis. 3 verse 1. 3 verse 7, there is a message for the church at Philadelphia. Revelation 3 verse 14, there is a message given to the church of the Laodiceans. So, that book of Revelation opens with a message to the 7 churches of Asia, which we have just mentioned. When we start chapter 4, and listen carefully as we go slowly. When we start chapter 4, the book becomes prophetic. chapter 4, the book becomes prophetic. And Revelation chapter 4 and verse 1, after this I looked, and behold, there was a door. A door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet. And what was it saying? Let me read that scripture very clearly with my next eyes. What was the trumpet saying? It was talking with me, which said, "Come up hither, and I will show thee things which must be hereafter." So we begin chapter 4 with prophetic message. Chapter 4 becomes prophetic. It's not very easy to understand unless you are helped. That's why we say chapter 4, it becomes prophetic. The 4th chapter gives John a glimpse unto heaven. John, Apostle John, is given a glimpse into heaven. He sees 4 living creatures and 24 elders that honor and worship the Lord. 4 living creatures, 24 elders that honor and worship the Lord. That's why some people don't want to read the book of Revelation. They say, what is that? What does that mean? Let's continue. In chapter 5, he sees a book sealed with 7 seals. Revelation chapter 5 and verse 1. And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the back side, sealed with 7 seals. Here, right here, John sees, in chapter 5, John sees a book sealed with 7 seals. These seals were opened by Jesus Christ, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Jesus Christ, those of you that know the Bible, is many times referred to as the Lion of the tribe of Judah, of the root of David. So these seals were opened by Jesus Christ. And if you read Revelation chapter 5 and you go up to, we don't have time to read all the chapters, but if you read chapters 5 to 7, he opens those seals one at a time, commencing in Revelation chapter 6. We can read Revelation chapter 6, verse 1. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, And I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. Come and see. So, these 7 seals begin to arrest the attention of the world. When these seals will be opened up, one at a time, they are going to arrest the attention of the world. They will get the attention of the people living on this earth, because they are going to see something that they have never seen. They are going to experience things that they have never experienced. So as these seals are opened up one by one at a time, they are going to get to arrest the attention of the world as God prepares to pour out his judgments upon this earth. We have said again and again that things will not always be business as usual. Things in this world, I tell you, we have looked at COVID-19, the coronavirus, as something very severe, and it is, but it is not as severe as the judgments of God that are going to fall upon this earth. These judgments are going to get the attention of the world. The people are going to see what they have never seen. They are going to experience what they have never experienced. These seals are opened at the beginning of the last hour of Gentile time. The last hour of Gentile time. And that hour, that last hour, we have said, is a period of 7 years. That last hour of Gentile time is a period of 7 years. Now we are saying that these seals are opened at the beginning of the last hour of Gentile time, or immediately prior to that. So, the first 4 seals involve horsemen. Horsemen. Religionists have dubbed these 4 horsemen of apocalypse. They have really given a name to each of these 4 horsemen. Now, the first seal is opened here in Revelation chapter 6. We read verse 1 and verse 2. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and went forth conquering and to conquer. He went conquering and to conquer. So, this white horse represents counterfeit religion. That's why it's white, looks white, or it is white, but what it represents is counterfeit religion. Many of us have lived to believe that every religion is right. We have believed to believe that all roads lead to Rome. That probably may be right for the natural things, but not for spiritual things. There is counterfeit religion. a religion that is not right, a religion that God knows is false. So, the white horse represents counterfeit religion. In this world, there is the spirit of truth and there is the spirit of error. Two spirits are working in our world, the spirit of truth and the spirit of error. If the spirit of truth is working in you, and somebody is speaking or preaching or is talking truth, there will be something inside on you that will be agreeing with that man that is preaching the truth. If he's preaching the truth, he's speaking the truth, he's talking about the truth, there will be something in you agreeing. There will be something in you saying yes. Like the disciples said that were on their way to Emmaus. As Jesus Christ was talking to them, they were saying, didn't our hearts burn within us as he talked to us? Something was happening in their hearts as Jesus was talking to them. They could connect that there was something. So, if a man is preaching truth, he's talking truth, there will be something in you agreeing. Probably you may not agree for a short time, but later on there will be something that will work in you and say, that man is right. What that man is saying is right. But if the spirit of error is working in you, when the man that is preaching the truth is talking, there will be a resistance. There will be that resistance in your heart. Something in you will be resisting. That is a clear sign. That's why John says, John the Apostle, and John the Apostle, an apostle of Jesus Christ, he wrote and said, we are of God. He that heareth us is of God. In other words, John was preaching truth. We don't have time to go through to the scriptures. He was talking truth. And he knew that any person that would listen to them as they preach truth, as they talk truth, that person would be of God. So, don't live in the world and you don't take a trouble to find and ask yourself, am I in the right path? Am I embracing truth? What am I receiving? We have talked over and over again, it matters where you go to church. It matters where you go to school. Some schools, they open their doors, you go there, you don't succeed. You don't get the necessary grades to take you further. So people move up and down. They look for schools where they can get better results, where they are able to advance in their studies. We are very smart when it becomes to the things of the world, the natural things. And when it comes to spiritual things, we want to take anything. My brother and my sister, it matters where you go to church. In this world, there is truth, and error. You are either embracing truth or you are embracing error. You better find out. If you are honest, do you go on your knees? Do you pray? Lord, lead me to your people. Where are your true people? Where are your children? Lead me to your people. God is faithful. He will lead you. He will lead you right there. He will guide you. If you pray, Lord, lead me to your people, the Lord will lead you there. So, this white horse represents counterfeit religion. As we begin to study this book, because it has a lot to say about end-time events. We are now beginning to see there is counterfeit religion. Jesus is seen riding a white horse. You say, what about this? Jesus is seen riding a white horse in Revelation 19 and verse 11. That's why we call the other one counterfeit. And the devil is the best counterfeiter. In making counterfeits, the devil is smart. So, in Revelation, if we can turn to Revelation 19 and verse 11. And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. This was Jesus Christ riding a white horse. That's why the devil imitates. There is a counterfeit religion. And the worst lie is the one nearest to the truth. The worst lie is the one nearest to the truth. So, false religion always seeks to mimic the truth. False religion always seeks to mimic the truth. You remember the children of Israel in the land of Egypt? The magicians that were serving Pharaoh and astrologers and all these men that he had gathered himself around. When Moses threw down his rod, my God, Pharaoh said, where are my people? Where are my experts? Bring them. Where are my astrologers? Where are my magicians? And so they came. And they also threw down their small rods. But to show that God's power is greater than Satan's power, Moses' snake swallowed all the other snakes that the magicians had produced. Just know, child of God, that false religion always seeks to mimic the truth so that they can have people on their side. You who says, well, I can go anywhere as long as the church doors are opened, don't have that understanding. That understanding will mislead you. I go wherever they talk about Christ, wherever they talk about Christ, and they clap their hands, and they lift up their hands. They talk about Jesus. If I meet a church like that, those are my brothers, I will go. Oh my God. They may be talking about Christ. They may be clapping hands and lifting up their hands, but they might be talking a lot of things that are not right. So this false religious system, that is the first seal, is a white horse. But it has a rider. It is a white horse, and it has a rider. And you notice the rider carries a bow, but no arrow. Carries a bow, but no arrow. He has a defense, but he can't attack. No arrow. He has a bow, which can be for defense, but he has no arrow. Doesn't believe in attacking, in wars. So this false religion, the false religion, that we are talking about is the mother of harlots. We shall see that as we go. This false religion is the mother of harlots. And the rider is the man of sin. The rider is the man of sin. All these you are going to understand as we go deep into this lesson. So, at the advent of the Protestant Reformation, the religious monopoly was the Roman Catholic Church. It monopolized as far as religion was concerned and enjoyed for many centuries. It enjoyed a lot of privileges for many centuries. Now, if you have read the history, the Reformation brought more than a loss of spiritual power for the man of sin. It brought something more than just to lose spiritual power for that man of sin. It also cost the church much of the political clout, political influence, political power, political clout. It also cost the church political clout that the church had accumulated over the centuries. The church had got that power over many, many centuries. But at the end of time, the rider goes forth conquering and to conquer. That man of sin goes forth conquering and to conquer. That man of sin, the son of perdition, goes on conquering and to conquer. Yet he does it without any arrows. He doesn't attack. He doesn't use military language. He doesn't have an army. He has no arrow. Doesn't have an army. Having no arrow, that means he doesn't have an army. So, the white horse rider conquers by diplomacy. Doesn't use wars. He uses diplomacy. He does not fight, he does not use war or force. But he comes into a position of tremendous influence by the use and work of diplomacy. Comes to a position of tremendous influence just using diplomacy. There are things that are taking place in our world that children of God, we need to take note. The Bible speaks about them. That's why we need to know the Bible. We need to know the scriptures. We need to know the events of end time. This rider doesn't use war, doesn't have an army, but he conquers by diplomacy and gets quite great influence. In the beginning, he speaks as a lamb, speaks like real real Son of God. He speaks like a lamb. But later, he becomes the eighth head and will speak as a dragon. He becomes the eighth head and will speak as a dragon. And here in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, Revelation 13, and we want to read verse 11. And I beheld another beast come up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Two horns like a lamb, but he spake like a dragon. So, this Roman pontiff who sits in the Vatican is a tremendous diplomat. I don't think we have a diplomat like that Roman pontiff. Very good diplomat. His successors will even be more seasoned diplomats. More seasoned diplomats. So in the coming years, the man of sin will enjoy unquestioned moral authority, especially among his religion. Unquestioned moral authority, especially among this religious world. When this seal is opened, the man of sin will begin to settle national and international disputes. There are so many wars in our world that we are living in. So many wars. And the world will need somebody. Who is that can use peace to settle disputes? That is not just interested in war, killing people, but uses peace to settle. The world will crave, and already is craving, for a man that can settle national and international disputes by peace, not using war. It is dawning on the world that war cannot solve much. People need peace. So he will begin to settle national and international disputes, deals with the heads of state, and exercise influence that has not been known before, unprecedented. Something that we haven't known in the past. So, the white horse rider in Revelation chapter 6 is not the eighth head of the beast. Just take note that the white horse rider that we have read of in Revelation 6 is not the eighth head of the beast. The eighth head comes on the scene later and exercises great power. The eighth head does not have to conquer by diplomacy. The eighth head is going to conquer by force. He will use force. It will not be diplomacy. He conquers by force. So when the first seal is opened, a false religious system and apostate pseudo-church, when the first seal is opened, a false religious system and an apostate pseudo-church will achieve a tremendous amount of moral and spiritual persuasive authority. Moral and spiritual persuasive authority. When this seal is opened, that pseudo-church will achieve a tremendous amount of moral and spiritual persuasive authority. And later, this white horse rider and the false religious system, the white horse rider is riding a false, later the white horse rider and the false religious system he heads will climb on the back of the beast. My God, these are terms that as we go, you are going to understand. Will climb. This white horse rider plus the false religious system are going to climb on the back of the beast. That's interesting. So, the eighth head of the beast will be operating. Now, the second horseman of the apocalypse is a red horse. Pardon me. Here in Revelation chapter 6, let's go back to Revelation chapter 6 and verses 3 and 4. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. A great sword. My God. The red horse rider, like we have just read, takes away peace from the earth. Can we begin to see the events that are going to transpire in the end time? The red horse rider coming on the scene and takes away peace. I mean, peace is a very valuable article. Can you imagine the world without peace? Can you bear it, a world without peace? Have you ever been troubled as an individual and you see how uncomfortable it is, how bad it is to live and there is no peace in you? You don't have joy. There is no peace. And here we have a red horse rider taking away peace from the earth. This is not a general world war, but lots of little wars. wars in that nation, in the other nation, little wars. And when these little wars are everywhere, peace is removed. We have ever lived under, when the country is under war, when there is war, my God, it is a terrible time. That's why you'll never value peace unless you have gone through war. There is no tranquility, no peace. My God, when there is war, it's a bad time. So, we are saying the opening of the second seal. We have looked at the first seal, seen the white horse rider. We have finished that. Now, we are on the second seal. The opening of the second seal may be the fulfillment of Jesus' prophecy when he said, "You shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. And all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." That is Matthew 24, verse 6 and 8. 6 to 8, sorry. That's where Jesus prophesied in Matthew 24. That's why it is precious to serve God. Bad times are ahead of us, those of us that will be alive at that time. In Matthew 24 and verse 6, "And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." All these wars, and they are the beginning of sorrows. Little wars here and there. They are the beginning of sorrows. That's bad. What about when the sorrow intensifies? So, Christ gave that prophecy in Matthew 24. Now, whosoever this horse rider is given a great sword. We saw that in Revelation 6 and verse 4. He's given a great sword. What does this mean? Is this some regional warlords, like we have warlords in Somalia? Is this some regional warlords, some warlord of some kind? Is it a dictator? Or is it a chemical warfare? Let's wait. Tomorrow, Sunday, come ready to continue. But this is interesting information that can help us to cope with the times, so that when things begin to happen, we are informed. We are not just perturbed like everybody else, but we come to know end-time events. What are these events? When wars begin, when things begin to transpire, we understand what is going on. May God help us. Come ready tomorrow, ready to worship, whether at the beginning of your service in your house or at the end, like I said, have a prayer. And either at the beginning or at the end, in your house, whatever your family members or wherever you are in your little house, let's make sure we keep ourselves alive. And then an offering. Support your pastors, support the work of God. We need to know how to learn how to support the work of God in the circumstance. Let's not abandon, let's not forsake the work of God just because there is COVID-19. If we haven't stopped eating, then we shouldn't stop the work of God going on. So, may God bless us, and may God keep us. God bless you.